Driving something that feels like a supercar doesn't mean you'll need to live off of instant noodles or sell your kidney. It may surprise you to learn that some cars can provide the excitement of fast speeds and tight turns without breaking the bank. Even though they don't have a flashy insignia or an unpronounceable name, these inexpensive monsters are wickedly quick, incredibly entertaining, and far more stylish than your neighbor's minivan. We'll sort them from the most expensive ones to the cheapest. So, starting with the most expensive, number 7. The 2006 Lotus Elise, $35,000. You should probably back off gradually if you find the Lotus Elise adorable or feisty, and you may not have heard of it before. This is not a car for the faint of heart or a casual driver. By everyday driver standards, the ride is rough, and there are no cup holders. The optional touring pack does have one, but we've never seen it. According to the Lotus men, it resembles a jockstrap. At cruising speeds, the entire car buzzes and rattles, and there's hardly any room in the trunk. But if you're looking for something compact, quick, attractive, with a foldable top, and actually kind of practical for daily use, let us help you find it. Oh, wait, we already have. The loss of the Rover K Series engine temporarily created a hole in Lotus's portfolio, and its disappearance from the range was not good news for entry-level sports car lovers across the globe. The Lotus Elise needs to be on your must-drive list if you consider yourself a serious sports car enthusiast. This compact, powerful sports vehicle is a good value for the money and has excellent performance capabilities. Between 1996 and 2021, Lotus produced 3 models of the Elise, which was first introduced to the US market in 1996. The Lotus is an extremely sleek sports vehicle that has been lowered wherever possible. As a result, the automobile is incredibly light and agile, but tall drivers will not be able to sit comfortably. It has 2 engine options, a 1.6-liter 4-cylinder engine that produces 134 horsepower, and a 1.8-liter supercharged engine that produces 250 horsepower. The Lotus Elise S is constructed with a lightweight steel rear subframe and an innovative, award-winning extruded and bonded aluminum chassis. The chassis itself has a rigidity of 9,500 newton-meters per degree and weighs only 150 pounds. The body style of the vintage 190 horsepower Lotus Elise R has not changed. Braking comes from AP Racing calipers at the front and Brembo calipers at the rear, linked to 282mm vented and cross-drilled cast iron discs. The advanced ABS system incorporates an anti-lock system, which is very unobtrusive, and most drivers won't even notice that it's there. But one thing you will definitely notice is this next car. Number 6. The 2015 Nissan 370Z Nismo, $30,000. The Z car has been around since the late 60s, but it wasn't until 1969 that the Datsun 240Z landed in the United States. Over the last 45 years, the two-seater sports car has transformed into what we have today. Back then, not only was the Z affordable, reliable, and fun to drive, but it also competed against the likes of the Volvo 1800E, Chevrolet Corvette, and Jaguar E-Type. The Nissan 370Z Nismo is a compact, light vehicle with a lot of power and rear-wheel drive. The 370Z series, which replaced the original 370Z, is unquestionably a lightning-fast sports vehicle. The car's handling is another remarkable quality, and when paired with its unique suspension, it turns cornering into a thrilling experience for drivers. This version had 19-inch raised forged alloy wheels, a distinctive red engine cover, polished exhaust tips, front and rear vibration performance dampers, and an engine, exhaust, and suspension modified by Nismo. A rear spoiler, body side sills, and a changed front and rear bumper were all part of the Nismo aerodynamic body design. Recaro leather seats with Alcantara inserts, a steering wheel wrapped in leather and Alcantara, a shifter wrapped in leather, red accent stitching, and a red tachometer were among the interior features unique to the Nismo package. Even though they are incredibly powerful, naturally aspirated engines are becoming increasingly uncommon. Thankfully, Nissan's designers equipped the Nismo with a powerful 3.7-liter V6 air-breathing engine. Despite the small dimensions, the engine generates an incredible 359 horsepower, enabling it to reach 60 miles per hour in just 5 seconds. If you would like not to use the 3 pedals, you can opt for a 7-speed automatic. Okay, that's enough about the Nismo. let's talk about one of our personal favorites on this list. Good old American muscle. Number 5. The 2002 Chevrolet Corvette C5 Z06. $23,000. For supercar fans who don't want to spend $100,000 on a sports vehicle, but still want an amazing ride, the Chevrolet Corvette C5 Z06 is a fantastic choice. One of Corvette's best sports cars is the C5 Z06, a fifth-generation Corvette built from 2001 to 2004. The performance and build quality are in line with previous Corvettes, and the C5 even has a manual transmission, something that's unusual among modern V8-powered vehicles. After an extended delay following the release of the C4, the C5 finally made its market debut. It's interesting to note that the value of the earlier Corvette C4 model has increased significantly. A huge 5.7-liter LS6 V8 engine powers the Chevrolet Corvette Z06. The 2002 model of the C5 was adjusted to produce 405 horsepower, compared to the previous model's 385 horsepower. The C5 Generation Z06 Corvette was a project that transformed America's sports vehicle into a weapon, much like it was decades ago. Because the fixed-roof notchback body was lighter and stiffer than the Targa-top bubbleback automobiles, it was only used on the C5, which is why it's probably our personal favorite. The FE4 heavy-duty suspension, bigger brakes, bigger wheels and tires, and more cooling capacity were other advantages of the Z06. The titanium exhaust system, less soundproofing, and thinner glass were weight-saving techniques. It can reach a top speed of 171 miles per hour, and comes with both an automatic and a 6-speed manual transmission for the supercar enthusiast in you. In addition, it can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 4 seconds, and has a pop-up headlight in case you want a conversation starter. Now, before we continue admiring and thinking about buying these machines, please make sure to hit that like button. And while you're at it, subscribing to our channel won't hurt, but it will show us your support. Now, back to the cars you came here for. Number 4. The 2012 Jaguar XKR. $20,000. The British sports automobile Jaguar's XKR competes with the best and fastest of its competitors because of its massive supercharged power reserves and amazing variety of technology. Most people will find that the regular version's just over 500 horsepower is more than sufficient. But for those who require performance that approaches supercar levels, the top XKR S's 542 braked horsepower should more than meet their needs. You want one, don't you? Be honest. Otherwise, you most likely wouldn't be watching this. At least according to stylist Ian Callum, the bodywork's dramatic, seductively sweeping curves were modeled after those of actress Kate Winslet. He designed his first Jaguar, and it was also the first vehicle from the brand to use aluminum construction, which is meant to make this model 30% stiffer and 100 kilograms lighter than its predecessor, the XK8. The car's 1.7-ton curb weight is something you wouldn't know from the shapely profile. And to be honest, you wouldn't assume it from the statistics either. Even so, ignore the facts and simply enjoy the modern combination of style and constant luxury that Jaguar says we have here. The oval front grille and the way the rear cabin tapers in over the haunches are two iconic E-Type inspired features that give it a confident appearance. There is also a reference to the legendary sports car in the front badge. With the sheet metal stretched over something genuinely functional, the car appears powerful and definitely looks like a sports car. We were certainly surprised to know it's only going for around $20,000. But not as surprised as when we saw the price of this next car on our list. Number 3. The 1999 Porsche Boxster 986. $15,000. A car that truly doesn't need an introduction. But here's one anyway. It was an excellent two-seat roadster that didn't discipline you in the everyday grind. It made a clear choice as soon as you surpassed an MX-5 in terms of price and power when it was first introduced in 1996. The Boxster quickly established its category, as is the case with many Porsches. It had no components in common with any other saloon. It was a pure sports car. It felt so special because of that. An intriguing, all-new thoroughbred 6-cylinder engine is practically at the heart of the Boxster's charm. It's positioned directly behind you, where the back seats of the 911 are located. But the Boxster feels extremely different from a 911 because of that mid-engine configuration. Less difficult and more stable. The remainder of it is pure Porsche. Powerful brakes and suspension made of aluminum. Above all, the machine's controls grab you with their remarkable accuracy. Instead of discontinuities between generations, Porsche has a habit of progression. Here, it's the same. You'll recognize the first one, codenamed 986, if you're familiar with the current one. The old one is somewhat smaller than the one at hand, and its edges and corners are more round, resembling a beach stone that has been worn down by waves and sand. The tail tapers elegantly, owing to a hidden electrically rising spoiler. It began with 2.5 liters and with 204 horsepower in base form as tested this time. Just enough to break the 7-second 0 to 60 time limit. Although there are now 1-liter Fiestas with nearly that amount, the torque peak is just 181 pound-feet. Since everyone thought the amazing chassis could handle more, it quickly expanded to 2.7 and 220 in 1999, with an S version that could do a lot more, with 252 horsepower from 3.2 liters. Standard and S outputs reached 240 and 280 horsepower at the end of the 986's operation. The early base car had a 5-speed transmission. Later models had 6. A Tiptronic auto with 5 speeds is another option. With a turnip for a clutch foot, an auto undoubtedly protects the rest of the drivetrain from harm. But it's less enjoyable, and numbs the acceleration. Now let's move on to the top 2 cheapest cars on our list. Number 2. The 2007 Sky Redline, $13,000. Are you charmed by the Pontiac Solstice GXP and Saturn Sky Redline's appearance, but uneasy with a manual gearbox? Are you worried that GM's little roadster won't be as fun with the $850 automatic? Despite the drawbacks of an automated sports car, the Sky Redline's performance figures should be taken very seriously. Because in our hands, it outpaces a mechanically identical Pontiac Solstice GXP with a stick shift. In 5.2 seconds, the Sky Redline with an automatic accelerates to 60 miles per hour, surpassing the 5.6 seconds of the manual Solstice GXP. An automatic-equipped Solstice GXP should be identical to its sibling, the Sky Redline. You may have assumed that this Saturn was an oddball, and that its engine was somehow exceptionally powerful. Excellent proof of a car's horsepower claim can be found in the quarter-mile trap speed. Our Sky would have been faster through the quarter if its engine had been exceptionally powerful. A beautiful day can be made even brighter by spending time in almost any convertible. But the 2007 Saturn Sky Redline produces heat that isn't natural. In comparison to the basic Sky Roadster, the Redline adds a dosage of special speed gear to improve handling and power. With integrated hydro-formed frame rails, the Redline is constructed on the now familiar deep tunnel Kappa platform. Fortunately, it has sportier suspension settings that are almost the same as those found in the Pontiac Solstice GXP. This entails strengthening the independent short and long arm assemblies in the front and back with thicker stabilizer bars and firmer springs. The Redline has special polished 5-spokes, but the wheels are still 18-inch alloys. You can use chrome as an option. But a bit more bling isn't what makes the Redline stand out, under the angular hood, that is. The Sky's 2.4-liter 0-4 engine has been replaced with a far more powerful 2-liter direct injection twin-scroll Turbo 4 260 horsepower. An 83% gain and 260 pound-feet of torque are produced by GM's first direct injection engine in North America. Last but not least, or better yet, last and least expensive on our list, we have this beauty. Number 1. The 2007 Pontiac Solstice GXP. $10,000. We enjoy speeding along back roads to car heaven while dropping the top on a sporty 2-seater. Hence, we were overjoyed when Pontiac gave us the keys to their eagerly anticipated sports vehicle, the Solstice. Fortunately, as is common of our type, we desired additional features, power, and handling. Well, this supercharged Solstice GXP is an example of Pontiac's ability to satisfy. Interestingly, Roebling Road has replaced Rhodes for this Solstice. With the introduction of the turbocharged 2007 Solstice GXP, Pontiac ups their game. Compared to its maiden effort a year earlier, this roadster on steroids now has a significant kick. A brand new Ecotec 2-liter Turbo 4 with 260 horsepower provides that punch. GXP power feeds to the rear through either a standard 5-speed manual or an optional 5-speed automatic. Of course, with all this new potential for speed, its strong base supports the GXP's summer performance tires and stiffer suspension, which significantly enhances its already agile nature. All four corners have Bilstein coilover monotube shocks. ABS and StabiliTrak stability control is standard on the GXP, along with a limited slip differential. Nearly immediate power is produced via a dual-scroll turbocharger with a lightweight turbine, and the performance of the turbo is improved by an air-to-air intercooling system that lowers inlet temperatures. By maximizing valve timing at lower RPM for optimal turbo response and rapid access to engine output, dual-cam phasing enhances the turbocharging system. The Ecotec engine uses less fuel than a small displacement port-injected engine, which also helps it generate more power. Direct injection enables a more thorough burning of the air-fuel mixture by delivering gasoline straight to the combustion chamber. Particularly at typical cruising speeds, less fuel is needed to generate the same amount of horsepower as a traditional port-injection combustion engine. These were some cars that offered the thrill, speed, and smile-inducing handling of supercars without the astronomical price tags. Wait until your pals witness you tearing along the back roads before they believe you. With a car that's just as exciting for a fraction of the price, who needs Italian flair or a name like Viper? Start living your best fast and frugal life now by finding your own four-wheeled rocket. Just remember to set aside some cash for gas. Also, don't be shy, car enthusiasts. Let us know in the comments below if you have some even better options for a cheap car that drives like a supercar. The 1950s were a golden age of automotive innovation, but not every bold idea found success. Triumph, Plymouth, and Ford took risks with cars that were ambitious, daring, and ahead of their time. But some flopped in ways no one expected. What went wrong? Was it bad timing, risky designs, or a market that wasn't ready? Stick around, because the last car on this list has a story so surprising, it might just change how you see automotive history forever. Starting off, we have the 1953 Willys Aero. Now, Willys Overland was great at making Jeeps, tough, rugged vehicles that worked well in the military and off-road markets. But when they tried to focus on passenger cars after the war, they stumbled. In the 1950s, Americans wanted big, powerful cars, and the Aero didn't fit that vibe. The big three, General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler, were already dominating with vehicles that matched these tastes, leaving little room for a compact car like the Aero. Then there was the pricing. The Aero cost around $2,200 in 1952 to 1953. Compare that to the Chevrolet Bel Air, which was about $1,780, a much better deal for most families at the time. With a median household income of just $3,900, many buyers couldn't justify spending so much on a smaller car, especially when larger, more feature-packed options were available for less. But the big three didn't just have better products. They also had the resources to sell them cheaper. Their massive production scales meant lower costs per car and more models to choose from. Willys Overland simply couldn't keep up with that level of competition. The 1953 Willys Aero had a tough ride from the start. Despite offering decent performance and fuel economy for a compact car, it couldn't keep up with what consumers wanted, and quickly fell out of favor. Here's why. But what about the performance and features? Surely it had to shine there, right? Well, not exactly. You see, while the Aero performed well enough for its class, it lacked the wow factor. By the early 1950s, buyers expected stylish designs and advanced features, and the Aero's look felt outdated. Even though it sold about 30,000 units in its first year, interest fizzled fast. Adding more engine options didn't help much either. People were leaning toward bigger, more powerful cars from the competition. The early 1950s were cutthroat in the car market. Ford and Chevrolet were locked in price wars, offering better cars at lower prices. Smaller players like Willys couldn't compete with the big three's resources and economies of scale. The Aero simply couldn't carve out a strong niche in this aggressive environment. The merger between Willys and Kaiser in 1954 added to the Aero's troubles. While the merger was supposed to help both companies, it created confusion. There was no clear plan for the Aero, and shifting management priorities made things worse. By 1955, only about 5,000 units were produced before Willis stopped making passenger cars altogether. The Willis Aero failed because it didn't offer what the market wanted: exciting features, competitive pricing, or a unique identity. It was also released at a time when bigger players dominated the market, and corporate instability after the merger sealed its fate. Ultimately, it's the story of a car that couldn't keep up in a rapidly changing automotive world. Moving on, we have the 1957 Rambler Rebel. The 1957 Rambler Rebel had the makings of an exciting muscle car, but it never got the spotlight it deserved. The Rebel was introduced by American Motors Corporation as a performance-oriented car with a powerful 327 cubic inch V8 engine. It had all the ingredients to attract thrill seekers in the emerging muscle car market. However, AMC's leadership, especially George Romney, was more focused on promoting compact, economical cars, which were gaining popularity in post-war America. This split focus meant the Rebel wasn't given the attention it needed to thrive in the muscle car segment. The Rebel was designed as a limited edition car, with only about 1,500 units produced. That scarcity alone made it hard for the model to make a significant impact. Adding to its struggles, AMC initially promised an innovative electronic fuel injection system, but it never made it to production due to reliability issues. Instead, the car was equipped with a standard 4-barrel carburetor, which felt like a letdown compared to the hype. This missing innovation hurt its appeal in a market dominated by bolder, more feature-rich competitors. By 1958, the Rebel was downgraded to a more basic version, with fewer standout features, further diluting its identity. AMC's half-hearted approach to the muscle car trend, combined with production and feature setbacks, left the Rebel overshadowed by competitors from larger automakers. AMC launched the Rebel at a time when it was phasing out legacy brands like Hudson and Nash, trying to rebuild its identity. But this created a muddled message. Consumers didn't quite know where the Rebel fit in AMC's lineup. The name Rebel was bold, but without a clear strategy or consistent branding, it failed to establish a strong connection with buyers. Discontinuing it after just 1 year only reinforced the idea that the Rebel was a short-lived experiment rather than a serious contender. By the late 1950s, the automotive market was heating up. Giants like Ford, Chevrolet, and Chrysler were rolling out muscle cars with better performance, aggressive marketing, and broader appeal. While the Rebel's 327 cubic inch V8 was impressive, it wasn't enough to stand out in this crowded space. Positive press at launch couldn't translate into lasting success, especially when AMC lacked the resources to compete with the heavyweights. Ultimately, the Rebel's downfall came from a mix of internal and external factors. AMC's focus on economy cars clashed with the muscle car ambitions of the Rebel. Limited production and unfulfilled promises, like the absence of the much-hyped electronic fuel injection, further dampened its appeal. Branding missteps and fierce competition sealed its fate. So it might have been ahead of its time, but without a clear vision or strong backing, it faded into history as an interesting what-could-have-been story. Taking the spotlight next is the 1954 Dodge La Femme. The 1954 Dodge La Femme stands out as a classic example of how not to market a car. Dodge aimed to create a car designed for women, but their approach relied on outdated stereotypes. The La Femme was decked out in pastel pinks and came with accessories like a raincoat, umbrella, and beauty products, all marked as essentials for women. The tagline, "By special appointment to Her Majesty, the American Woman," tried to sound elegant, but ended up feeling patronizing. Instead of highlighting the car's performance or practicality, Dodge focused entirely on these accessories, which alienated women looking for a solid, reliable vehicle, rather than a gendered gimmick. The La Femme's marketing failed to explain why it was a better choice beyond its pink paint and feminine add-ons. Dodge didn't promote its driving experience, durability, or features that appealed to all buyers. As a result, many potential customers saw it as superficial, while others found the idea of a women-only car limiting and unnecessary. On top of the flawed strategy, Dodge rolled out the La Femme slowly and in limited numbers, making it hard for interested buyers to even find one. This created frustration and dampened enthusiasm. In its first year, fewer than 1,000 units were sold. Dodge made the La Femme hard to find by allocating only a few models to dealerships. This exclusivity was meant to generate buzz, but ended up limiting exposure. Many interested buyers never even got to see the car in person, turning what could have been a selling point into a roadblock. The 1950s marked a period of shifting cultural dynamics. During World War II, women took on diverse roles, and though many returned to traditional domestic roles post-war, their expectations had evolved. They wanted vehicles that matched their growing independence, not ones that pleased outdated stereotypes. Dodge missed this shift entirely. Instead of focusing on performance, reliability, or universal appeal, the La Femme doubled down on pink aesthetics and feminine accessories, which felt out of touch. Women were looking for cars that reflected their individuality and needs, not superficial designs that emphasized their gender. By focusing too much on stereotypical ideas of femininity, Dodge failed to understand its audience. Women weren't asking for gender-specific cars. They wanted vehicles that were stylish, reliable, and capable, just like everyone else. The La Femme, with its narrow appeal and lack of practical focus, was simply not what the modern woman wanted. The La Femme sold fewer than 2,500 units before being discontinued in 1956, serving as a cautionary tale for the auto industry. Its failure highlighted the importance of understanding cultural trends and consumer preferences. Instead of embracing stereotypes, automakers learned they needed to create vehicles that spoke to all buyers' needs and aspirations. Next up is the 1951 and 1952 Plymouth Cranbrook. In the early 1950s, Plymouth was trying to make its mark with the Cranbrook, Cambridge, and Concorde models. These cars were part of Plymouth's post-war push to stay relevant, but things didn't quite go as planned. But let's talk about Cranbrook, which hit the streets in 1951. It replaced the Special Deluxe and came with a solid but unremarkable 217 cubic inch flathead six-cylinder engine. This little powerhouse produced 97 horsepower, which was decent for the time. The design? Well, it was mostly a repeat of the previous year with some tweaks like a refreshed front and stylish speedwave accents on the hood. Plymouth offered a variety of body styles from sedans to coupes, giving buyers a bit of choice. Now here's where things started to go south. The competition. Ford and Chevrolet were shaking up the market with innovations like V8 engines and automatic transmissions. Plymouth, not so much. Their offerings felt stuck in the past. And by 1952, the cars were essentially carbon copies of the 1951 models. Why? The Korean War had caused material shortages, limiting Plymouth's ability to update their designs. Customers noticed. While Ford and Chevy were turning heads with sleek, modern cars, Plymouth's lineup started to feel, well, old-fashioned. Buyers wanted something exciting, and Plymouth's stagnation cost them dearly. But what about the engine? Well, Plymouth's flathead six-cylinder was a workhorse, no doubt. But compared to the roaring V8 engines from Ford and Chevrolet, it felt underwhelming. Drivers wanted power, and Plymouth just couldn't keep up. The Cranbrook's performance was solid, but lacked the thrill factor buyers were craving. Then there was the design. Chrysler's president at the time, K.T. Keller, had a practical mindset. He believed cars should be functional and roomy rather than flashy. While that worked for a while, the early 50s saw consumers shifting towards larger, more stylish cars loaded with modern features. Plymouth's conservative approach just didn't excite buyers who wanted cars that turned heads. The numbers tell the story. In 1951, Plymouth sold over 550,000 Cranbrooks, a respectable figure. But by 1952, sales plummeted to around 368,000. Why? Stagnant designs and uninspired updates. However, things started looking up in 1953 when Plymouth introduced a redesign that better matched what buyers wanted. And let's not forget the competition. Ford and Chevrolet were taking big swings with innovative designs, powerful engines, and features aimed at younger drivers. Plymouth struggled to stand out in this rapidly evolving market. They missed the mark in capturing the excitement and innovation of their time. It's a story of what could have been in automotive history. Don't you think they deserved another shot with better features? Moving on, we have the Crosley Hotshot. 1950 to 1952. The Crosley Hotshot was a small, affordable roadster made between 1950 and 1952, aiming to bring a sports car to the masses in post-war America. However, despite its lightweight design and some innovative features, the Hotshot didn't quite make the mark. Now, the Hotshot had a unique and compact design. It was powered by a 44 cubic inch 0.7-liter four-cylinder engine that produced just 26.5 horsepower. This was pretty underwhelming compared to other sports cars on the market, which often had more powerful engines. The car's light weight, just over 1,000 pounds, helped with fuel efficiency, but it didn't make up for the lack of power on the road. The car also came with a 3-speed manual transmission and a simple, clean interior. One notable feature was its disc brakes on all 4 wheels, which were ahead of its time for a car of its class. But in the end, these features couldn't overcome the car's performance struggles. But what were the reasons for its failure? The underpowered engine was the main issue. With just that much horsepower, the Hotshot couldn't keep up with more powerful competitors in the sports car market. For many, sports cars are about the thrill of driving, and the Hotshot didn't deliver that. On top of that, there were quality control issues during production, leading to mechanical failures and poor reliability. Many owners reported problems with the car, which didn't help its reputation. When the Crosley Hotshot was introduced, the automotive landscape in America was rapidly changing. Consumers were beginning to prefer larger cars that offered more comfort and power, especially with the post-war boom. The Hotshot's small size and modest capabilities didn't quite match these shifting preferences, making it hard for Crosley to attract the attention of mainstream buyers who were looking for more substantial vehicles. The competition was fierce, too. The Hotshot entered a market dominated by established brands like Chevrolet and Ford, who offered sports cars that were not only more powerful, but also came with the backing of strong brand recognition and better marketing. These factors made it even harder for the Hotshot to stand out, despite its unique design and lower price point. On top of that, limited production numbers limited the Hotshot's visibility. Crosley wasn't a major player in the industry, and with ongoing financial struggles, the company couldn't afford to heavily market the Hotshot. This lack of exposure meant fewer potential buyers even knew about the car, and those who did were often drawn to more reliable, better-performing alternatives. Next up, we have the 1954 Kaiser Darrin. The 1954 Kaiser Darrin is a striking example of how beauty and innovation aren't always enough to guarantee success. While it dazzled with its design and forward-thinking features, a series of challenges led to its downfall and marked the end of the Kaiser brand. Kaiser Motors, founded by industrialist Henry J. Kaiser, was already fighting an uphill battle by the early 1950s. Dominated by giants like General Motors and Ford, the market left little room for smaller players. Amid this uncertainty, Howard Dutch Darrin proposed an ambitious sports car concept based on the compact Henry J. chassis. Initially met with skepticism, the product gained traction thanks to Darrin's persistence and the influence of Kaiser's wife. The Darrin debuted at the 1953 New York Auto Show and wowed audiences with its fiberglass body, innovative sliding doors, and elegant European-inspired styling. Its promise was undeniable, but production issues and market dynamics soon turned enthusiasm into frustration. The Darrin's fiberglass body was outsourced to Glasspar, causing significant production delays. By the time the car hit showrooms in 1954, it was up against stiff competition from the Chevrolet Corvette, which had already established itself as America's sports car. Buyers were drawn to the Corvette's more powerful engine and Chevrolet's trusted reputation, leaving the Darrin struggling to make its mark. Beyond timing and competition, the Darrin faced another issue: its price. Positioned as a premium car, it alienated many potential buyers seeking value for money. With Kaiser Motors' financial troubles increasing, the Darrin had little room to succeed. Marketed as a sports car, the Darrin packed a modest 3.7-liter inline-6 engine delivering just 90 horsepower. While stylish, it lacked the performance expected of a true sports car, feeling more like a cruiser than a competitor in its segment. Critics pointed out this disconnect, especially as other cars in the class offered better speed and handling. Compounding the issue was its steep price, $3,668, placing it well above many rivals. For cost-conscious buyers, The Darren's limited performance didn't justify the high cost. The Darren's unique design included sliding doors, which drew attention but had practical flaws. Narrow openings made getting in and out difficult, and the doors frequently jammed on early models. Its folding roof, while innovative, leaked during rain, frustrating owners who expected more from such a premium-priced car. Only 435 units were produced before the Darren's production ended in August 1954. Its failure was a significant blow to Kaiser Motors, which ceased U.S. production by 1955. While the Kaiser Darren failed commercially, it remains celebrated for its daring design and spirit of innovation. It's a lesson in the risks of mismatched market strategies and the importance of aligning bold ideas with practical execution. Now let's shift our focus to the 1959 Edsel Ranger. The 1959 Edsel Ranger is often remembered as one of the biggest flops in car history. The Edsel's biggest problem was that it launched during a recession that began in late 1957. With consumer spending dropping, people weren't eager to buy expensive cars. The Edsel was marketed as a premium vehicle, but during tough economic times, that just didn't work. Buyers were more interested in affordable options, and Ford's high expectations quickly crashed when sales dropped by over 70% in the first year. The design of the Edsel didn't help its case either. The car's horse-collar grille, meant to make it stand out, ended up turning a lot of people off. Ford called it futuristic, but many buyers thought it looked strange and unattractive. The styling was so different from what other cars were offering that it left potential customers confused and unwilling to take the plunge. While Ford wanted the Edsel to have a unique identity, the unconventional look ended up causing more harm than good. As a result, the Edsel received tons of negative feedback and couldn't find its place in the market. One of the biggest issues with the Edsel was its poor quality. There were multiple mechanical problems reported, from faulty welds to leaky trunks. But the biggest headache was the Teletouch shifter system. Designed to be mounted on the steering wheel, this system malfunctioned often because of poor wiring placement near the exhaust. The design confused drivers, with many accidentally pressing the shifter buttons instead of the horn. On top of that, because the Edsels were assembled alongside Ford and Mercury models in the same factories, there were inconsistencies in the build quality. The marketing for the Edsel was another big misstep. Despite a huge promotional campaign, the execution fell flat. Dealers received incomplete cars, sometimes with spare parts still in the trunk. This left them unprepared and frustrated, unable to sell the cars effectively. And while Ford tried to build up excitement for the Edsel, the marketing didn't create a strong brand identity. Unlike competitors like Pontiac or Oldsmobile, Edsel didn't have the customer loyalty or recognition it needed to succeed. In the end, the 1959 Edsel Ranger's failure was a mix of bad timing, poor design, quality control problems, and ineffective marketing. These issues created the perfect storm, leading to the end of the Edsel brand after just 3 years. The Edsel is a classic example of how misalignment with consumer expectations and market conditions can derail even the most hyped car. Moving on, we have the 1958 Studebaker Scotsman. The 1958 Studebaker Scotsman holds a special place in American automotive history, but not necessarily for the reasons you'd expect. This model was launched at a time when Studebaker, a company with a deep history dating back to 1852, was facing some serious financial struggles. Competing against the giants of the industry like General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler, Studebaker needed something that could appeal to the budget-conscious crowd. Then came the Scotsman, a simple, no-frills car designed to get people from point A to point B without breaking the bank. In the post-war years, the demand for luxurious, feature-packed vehicles was soaring, but Studebaker, a smaller player, couldn't keep up. The Scotsman was their answer to that challenge. It was priced to be affordable, aiming to offer a budget-friendly alternative to their more expensive models. The idea was to capture the market of people who didn't need all the bells and whistles, but still wanted something reliable and easy on the wallet. The Scotsman itself was pretty basic, and that's exactly what it was meant to be. It was available mainly as a two-door sedan with a simple design, keeping things as minimal as possible. Powered by a 6-cylinder engine, It offered decent performance for daily driving, though it couldn't compete with the more powerful V8 engines that other manufacturers were offering. Inside, the Scotsman was even more stripped down, with a bare-bones interior that reflected its affordable pricing. No fancy features, just the essentials. But the real hook for the Scotsman was its pricing. It was cheaper than most of its competitors, making it a solid option for anyone looking for a no-nonsense car. But of course, this came at a cost. The lack of options and features while making it affordable meant the Scotsman wasn't as appealing as other models in the market, especially to buyers used to a little more luxury in their vehicles. But why didn't it make it in the market despite its early potential? Well, there were several key reasons for its failure. First off, the timing just wasn't right. By the late 1950s, car buyers were shifting their preferences towards larger, more luxurious vehicles. People wanted comfort, style, and features that made their driving experience feel special, not just a basic no-frills ride. The Scotsman, with its simple design and minimal features, couldn't compete with the demand for more refined cars that offered a little bit of everything. On top of that, the economic climate in America wasn't exactly in the Scotsman's favor. The country was going through a recession, which made consumers more cautious with their spending. Studebaker, being a smaller company, struggled to keep up with the larger, more resource-rich competitors like GM, Ford, and Chrysler. Without the financial muscle to weather the storm, it was tough for Studebaker to make a real impact. There were also production challenges that hurt the Scotsman's reputation. Studebaker's factories weren't built for the large-scale, efficient production that other automakers had mastered. This led to delays and quality control issues, which only added to the negative perception of the car. If buyers couldn't count on the car's reliability or timely delivery, they weren't likely to take the risk. The marketing for the Scotsman also didn't help its cause. While other companies were rolling out impressive campaigns to promote their new models, Studebaker couldn't generate enough excitement around the Scotsman. They struggled to craft a narrative that would appeal to potential buyers. By 1958, Studebaker's brand image was already on shaky ground due to financial struggles and declining sales. For many consumers, investing in a car from a company on the brink was a gamble they weren't willing to take. All these factors combined to doom the Scotsman and ultimately Studebaker's exit from the auto market in 1966. The Scotsman's failure highlighted the challenges that smaller automakers faced in a rapidly changing market dominated by bigger players. Now, let's direct our attention to the 1958 Packard station wagon. This is yet another fascinating yet ultimately tragic chapter in automotive history. It also marks the end of the iconic Packard brand, which had once been a symbol of luxury and innovation. Despite its unique features, the 1958 model didn't make the impact Packard had hoped for, and there are several reasons why it failed in the marketplace. By 1958, the Packard lineup had expanded to include a 4-door sedan, a 2-door hardtop, a 4-door station wagon, and the Packard Hawk. However, the design and production of these cars were heavily influenced by the financial troubles facing the Studebaker Packard Corporation. The company had to make significant cost-cutting decisions, which led to a drop in the overall quality and appeal of the cars that year. The Packard station wagon in particular was notable for its limited production, with only 159 units built, making it one of the rarest Packards ever produced. So what went wrong for the 1958 Packard station wagon? Well, when it came to design, the 1958 Packard tried to keep up with the latest automotive trends. It featured a bold fish-mouth grille and distinctive canted tail fins, both of which were attempts to align with the era's styling. But these design elements didn't quite come together as hoped. Critics felt the look was disjointed and poorly integrated. Instead of a refined aesthetic, the car seemed cobbled together, leading to negative comparisons with the offerings of competitors, who were getting the design right. To make matters worse, Packard reused components from earlier models, such as the taillights, which made the car feel outdated compared to newer, more modern designs from other brands. The car also had the unfortunate task of entering a fiercely competitive automotive market. By this time, many car manufacturers were rolling out innovative designs and modern features that captivated consumers. The Packard, priced at $3,384, found itself in direct competition with trusted brands like Chevrolet and Ford, which offered vehicles with greater reliability and a more established reputation. In this environment, Packard's outdated design and lack of innovation didn't make it the go-to choice for buyers. Consumers were increasingly gravitating toward brands that offered modernity and innovation, qualities that Packard couldn't quite deliver. The financial struggles of Studebaker-Packard Corporation also played a significant role in the car's failure. The company was already in serious financial trouble by this point. With limited investment in new technologies or designs, the 1958 Packard models, despite offering some minor improvements over earlier versions, couldn't compete with the progress made by larger manufacturers. The company's inability to keep up with these changes ultimately led to its decision to stop producing Packard vehicles entirely by 1962. The combination of poor design execution, limited production, fierce market competition, and apparent company in financial trouble doomed it from the start. While it's now a rare collector's item due to its limited production, the Packard Clipper Country Sedan serves as a reminder of how quickly fortunes can change in the automotive industry. The final Packard rolled off the assembly line on July 25, 1958, marking the end of a brand that had once been a symbol of luxury and innovation. It's a sad but fascinating chapter in the story of American automotive history. Moving on to our next contender, we have the 1957 Mercury. The 1957 Mercury lineup, particularly the Turnpike Cruiser and Montclair, stands as an ambitious moment in car history. These models were all about luxury and innovation, packing some impressive features for their time. The Turnpike Cruiser, for instance, was a full-size luxury car powered by a 368 cubic-inch V8 engine that pushed out 290 horsepower. It was also equipped with standout features like the retractable rear window, named the Breezeway, and push-button transmission controls, making it feel like the future of driving. The Montclair, a slightly more affordable option, had similar performance specs but was marketed as a mid-range luxury car. But despite these cutting-edge features, the 1957 Mercury models didn't last long on the market. They were only around for 2 years before being discontinued. So what went wrong? Well, there were a couple of key reasons why these ambitious cars failed to leave a lasting impression. First, there was the fierce competition in the automotive market. The late 1950s were a golden age for car manufacturing, with companies constantly upping the level. Mercury found itself fighting for attention against domestic powerhouses like Chevrolet and Ford, as well as luxury brands like Cadillac. Meanwhile, competitors were introducing new models with even better performance and more modern designs, leaving Mercury struggling to keep up. Secondly, the economic climate wasn't in Mercury's favor. The late 50s saw some shifts in consumer spending and fuel prices were on the rise. People began leaning towards smaller, more fuel-efficient cars, especially as gas prices climbed. The large size and poor fuel efficiency of the Mercury models made them less appealing in this new market. Along with fierce competition and economic shifts, a few additional factors really held these cars back from achieving lasting success. Quality control issues plagued the production of the 1957 Mercury lineup. Owners reported mechanical problems, particularly with the engines and transmissions, which quickly became a reputation headache for the brand. The reliability of these vehicles came into question, leading to customer dissatisfaction and a sharp drop in sales. Then there were the design choices. While the Mercury's extravagant look with its large tail fins and bold chrome accents was certainly a head-turner, not everyone was a fan. As the 1950s came to a close, consumer tastes began to shift toward more conservative, understated designs. The flashy, futuristic styling of the Mercury, once cutting-edge, began to feel out of place as the decade wore on, making it less appealing to a broader audience. Additionally, production numbers for the Turnpike Cruiser were relatively low, with only about 23,268 units made during its short 2-year production run. This limited availability didn't help Mercury build a strong presence in the market, especially when compared to the higher production volumes of more popular models from competitors like Chevrolet and Ford. So while the 1957 Mercury models were proof of innovative engineering and design, they were ultimately overshadowed by fierce competition and shifting consumer preferences. These factors contributed to their discontinuation after just 2 years, marking a significant moment in the industry as manufacturers began adjusting to a changing automotive landscape. It's a reminder of how even the most innovative ideas can be outpaced by the fast-evolving market and consumer tastes. Next, let's take a look at the 1950 Kaiser Traveler. Kaiser Frazer entered the scene after World War II, aiming to challenge automotive giants like Ford and General Motors. Sounds ambitious, right? But by 1949, the company found itself $39 million in the hole due to overproduction. They made more cars than the market wanted, leaving lots full of unsold vehicles. Meanwhile, their competitors were rolling out new designs that captured the public's attention, making Kaiser Fraser's cars look outdated. Now let's talk about the Kaiser Traveler, one of their most talked about models. On paper, it sounded fantastic. An innovative hatchback design that combined practicality with a bit of flair. But here's the problem. It wasn't built to perfection. The hatchback had serious sealing issues. Imagine buying a car and constantly battling these annoyances. It's no wonder customers and mechanics were fed up. What was supposed to be a selling point turned into a major drawback. At its core, Kaiser Fraser's struggles boiled down to poor planning and execution. They aimed high, but didn't adapt quickly enough to changing consumer preferences or fix critical design flaws. Despite their innovative spirit, these issues eroded trust and sales. Now, the Kaiser Traveler was marketed as a utility vehicle with a spacious cargo area, a forward-thinking idea for its time. It featured a fold-flat rear seat for added practicality, which sounded great. But in reality, poor sealing around the hatchback led to water leaks, wind noise, and dust problems. Customers bought a car that promised versatility but couldn't keep the rain or dirt out. It's no wonder they were unimpressed. By 1951, only about 3,500 units of the Traveler had been produced, signaling its commercial failure. But it wasn't just the design that tripped up Kaiser Fraser. Internal conflicts made things worse. Joseph Fraser, whose experience was key to the company's early success, clashed with Henry Kaiser over production strategies. When Fraser left, the company lost a vital part of its leadership. Without him, the focus shifted entirely to Kaiser-branded vehicles, leaving the Fraser name to fade away. This lack of strategic clarity further hurt their ability to compete in a rapidly evolving market. Despite their innovative spirit, they couldn't keep up with competitors who were delivering not only style, but also reliability. Their failure became a cautionary tale in automotive history, a reminder that great ideas need equally strong execution. Next up is the 1950 Nash Statesman. Built by Nash Motors, the Statesman was more of a statement. It embraced a unique air flight design that was ahead of its time, prioritizing aerodynamics and roominess in an era when these concepts were still catching on. One of the standout features of the Statesman was its unibody construction. This design innovation made the car more rigid, safer, and gave it a lower floor height, which meant passengers got more comfort without the car looking bulky. The exterior had a sleek silhouette with flowing curves, turning heads wherever it went. Inside, Nash brought some clever features, like front seats that could recline to form a sleeping area, a pretty big deal back then, and the Weather Eye heating system, which kept the cabin cozy. Under the hood, the Statesman wasn't trying to win races. It had a smooth and reliable inline-six engine, capable of reaching a top speed of about 90 miles per hour. The emphasis was on comfort and practicality rather than sheer speed. But despite its innovations, the Statesman struggled in the sales department. Can you guess why that happened? Well, the big three, General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler, completely dominated the market. These giants had more resources, bigger advertising budgets, and could produce cars at a scale Nash couldn't match. Right after World War II, the economic boom had Americans eager to buy cars, and Nash's larger models, like the Statesman, initially seemed like a good fit. But as the market evolved, people started wanting more compact, fuel-efficient vehicles. Nash, with its focus on bigger cars, missed this shift, and demand for the Statesman shrank. Branding was another hurdle. Nash worked hard to stand out with its distinctive design and unique features like reclining seats, but it didn't quite nail a strong identity. While some admired the Statesman's unconventional style, others thought it looked odd. This love-it-or-hate-it design left the car struggling to win over a broad audience. The Korean War didn't help either. Material shortages during this period slowed down production across the industry, and Nash, being a smaller player compared to the big three, felt the impact even more. This made it harder for the company to keep up with innovation and roll out updated models. On top of all this, Nash eventually decided to shift gears and focus on compact cars like the Rambler. This pivot made larger models like the Statesman less of a priority, leading to reduced production and its eventual discontinuation by 1956. Despite these setbacks, the Nash Statesman holds a special place in automotive history. It's a reminder of how bold ideas can shape future designs, even if they don't always hit the mark in their time. Now this all brings us to the 1950 to 1952 DeSoto, another car that shares a similar fate in automotive history. Chrysler introduced the DeSoto back in 1928, aiming to carve out a unique spot in the market. Fast forward to 1950, and DeSoto was on a high note. They launched models that balanced style and performance beautifully. The real showstopper? The DeSoto Firedome, packing a brand new V8 engine. This powerhouse gave it the muscle to stand toe-to-toe with its competitors. Production that year hit its peak, with over 136,000 units rolling off the line. It seemed like DeSoto was on top of the world. But success was short-lived. By 1951, sales began to slide, dropping to about 106,000 units. Then came 1952, and things went from bad to worse, with production plummeting to just 88,000 cars. Even with the Firedome's V8 engine, an impressive piece of engineering, it wasn't enough to win back buyers. The problem wasn't just the cars, it was also how they were marketed. For instance, in 1952, a DeSoto TV ad played up comfort features instead of hyping the raw power of that V8 engine. This misstep might have made the car seem less exciting, especially when rivals were revving up their innovation and marketing. Market competition was fierce in the mid-priced segment. Ford and General Motors were pumping out cars that grabbed attention, and DeSoto struggled to stand out. Buyers had more choices than ever, and DeSoto didn't do enough to make itself irresistible. Then there were economic challenges. By the late 1950s, an economic downturn hit hard. Consumers started tightening their belts, and mid-priced cars like DeSoto took the biggest hit. Sales dropped a jaw-dropping 60% by 1958, and that's a tough number to recover from. Adding to the pain were quality control problems. Chrysler vehicles, including DeSoto, developed a bad rep for issues like leaks and rust. These weren't minor annoyances, they tarnished the brand's image. Imagine spending hard-earned money on a car only to see it rust before your eyes. That's not exactly loyalty building. Dealership troubles also played a big role. Chrysler reshuffled its dealer network after World War II, but many dealers decided to focus on more profitable brands, like Plymouth and Chrysler. DeSoto ended up with fewer dealerships, which meant fewer cars in showrooms and less visibility overall. Lastly, DeSoto just didn't keep up with the times. As rivals introduced compact cars to match changing buyer preferences, DeSoto didn't. By 1960, it was painfully clear the brand had missed the boat on innovation. In the end, DeSoto's early promise couldn't save it from a combination of tough competition, economic struggles, and strategic missteps. By the early 1960s, the once proud brand was no more. What could they have done differently, do you think? Now, last but not least, we have the 1953 to 1954 Hudson Jet. The Hudson Jet is an interesting chapter in automotive history. A car that had big ambitions but missed its mark. Produced between 1953 and 1954, it was Hudson Motor Car Company's attempt to jump into the compact car scene, a market that seemed promising as consumers began to lean towards smaller, more economical rides. On paper, the Jet had a lot going for it. Under the hood, it packed a 3.3-liter inline-six engine delivering 104 horsepower. It was light for its time, weighing around 2,730 pounds, and featured modern touches like independent front suspension and a semi-floating rear axle. Hudson even offered the Jet in several styles, including a four-door sedan and a club sedan, all priced around $1,930 to $1,950. The goal? To give budget-conscious buyers a car that was both affordable and reliable. But here's the twist. Despite these solid specs, the Hudson Jet just didn't catch on. Timing was a big part of the problem. By the early 1950s, consumer preferences were shifting. Instead of going smaller, buyers started leaning towards larger, more powerful cars. The Jet's compact size felt out of sync with the mood of the market. It was like trying to sell a cozy little bungalow when everyone wanted sprawling mansions. To make matters worse, The Jet faced stiff competition from industry heavyweights like Chevrolet and Ford. These brands had deep pockets, strong dealer networks, and more appealing designs, making it tough for the Jet to stand out. Next, let's talk about brand perception. By the early 1950s, Hudson was no longer the brand it once was. Although it had a reputation for innovation, it was beginning to feel outdated next to its slicker, more modern competitors. To make matters worse, Hudson was already dealing with financial struggles, and consumers began to lose confidence in the company's ability to deliver. Then there was the issue of limited production. Hudson managed to produce over 35,000 units of the Jet, but in the automotive world, that's not much. Those numbers didn't reflect a thriving demand, but rather lukewarm interest. Combine that with Hudson's overall production decline, and it became clear that the Jet was struggling to make its mark in a crowded marketplace dominated by larger automakers like Ford and Chevrolet. Finally, the merger with Nash Kelvinator Corporation in 1954 to form American Motors Corporation was the nail in the coffin. This corporate shakeup shifted priorities away from the Jet. Amid the transition, promoting or improving the model took a back seat, leaving it overshadowed and largely forgotten. In the end, the Hudson Jet had the bones of a great car. It was compact, innovative, and reasonably priced. But poor timing, an outdated brand image, limited production, and the chaos of a major merger all worked against it. It's a classic case of how even a decent product can't thrive without strong brand support and market alignment. If you could own one of these misunderstood cars, which one would it be, and why? And are there any other 1950s cars you think should be on this list? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this dive into the automotive missteps of the 50s, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. And if you're craving more horsepower, click right here to watch our video on the most insane, powerful modern muscle cars in the world. You won't want to miss it. The most insane, powerful modern muscle cars in the world. What do raw power, jaw-dropping acceleration, and aggressive styling have in common? They're all part of the most insanely powerful modern muscle cars in the world. Can a car really hit 200 miles per hour and still give you a comfortable ride? What does it feel like to control over 700 horsepower with just the touch of your foot? These are the machines that make you question the very definition of power and speed. Stick around, because you won't want to miss what comes next. Number 10. The 2020 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. This beast of a car was Ford's attempt to take the American muscle car and crank everything up to 11. It's a blend of classic Mustang charm and modern tech that pushes the boundaries of performance, making it one of the most thrilling cars you can drive today. At the heart of this car is a monstrous 5.2-liter V8 engine, supercharged to deliver a jaw-dropping 760 horsepower. That kind of power makes this GT500 one of the most powerful Mustangs Ford has ever built. When you hit the gas, this thing bolts from a standstill to blistering speeds in seconds. Ford paired that powerful engine with a specially designed transmission that handles gear changes seamlessly even under intense acceleration. It's as smooth as it is quick, making every shift feel satisfying and precise. But how did they change up the look? Well, it's all about performance-driven style. The front fascia is aggressive and ready to gulp in air with its large intakes, helping keep that engine cool under pressure. The rear spoiler isn't just there for looks. It's designed to create extra downforce, keeping the car planted and stable, even at high speeds. All these details make the GT500 not only a head-turner, but also incredibly steady on the road, whether you're cruising or pushing the limits. Now, the price starts around the mid-$70,000 range, which is pretty reasonable given the power, heritage, and tech packed into this car. For muscle car enthusiasts looking to get more out of every drive, this is an investment worth every penny. With the GT500, Ford has continued its legacy of excellence, crafting a ride that's not just about the thrill of the drive, but also a piece of automotive history that'll be admired for years to come. Number 9. The Cadillac ATS-V. This is a car that isn't exactly your traditional muscle car, but still packs a serious punch. It's a unique blend of power and luxury, making it a standout choice for enthusiasts who want something a little different. Think of it as the perfect mix of sporty performance and Cadillac class. Under the hood, the ATS-V sports a twin-turbo 3.6-liter V6 engine that pushes out an impressive 464 horsepower. Whether you prefer the control of a manual transmission or the ease of an automatic, Cadillac gives you both options, so you can pick the setup that best fits your driving style. The acceleration is sharp, with 0 to 60 miles per hour in the mid 4-second range when configured for top performance, giving you a thrilling experience every time you put your foot down. But where the ATS-V really shines is in its handling. Cadillac designed this car with a refined chassis that makes cornering a breeze. It's incredibly balanced, which means you can really lean into those winding roads with confidence and control. This car is made for drivers who love taking on curves and pushing limits. Starting in the mid-$60,000 range, the ATS-V offers an entry into the luxury segment without compromising on performance. You're getting a lot of value here. Luxury features, great power, and handling that competes with more sports-focused brands. And Cadillac didn't forget its signature style either. The ATS-V has those classic sleek Cadillac lines along the exterior and a sophisticated, elegant interior. The finish and feel are upscale, so both you and your passengers feel pampered, no matter where the road takes you. If you're after a high-performance car with luxury and a unique flair, the Cadillac ATS-V might just be your perfect ride. Number 8. The Equus Bass 770. The Equus Bass 770 is a rare gem in the world of modern muscle cars. It's got the spirit of classic American muscle, but with a twist of today's tech and performance standards. If you're into the bold looks of vintage muscle, but want something that's totally up to date under the hood, this car will grab your attention. Underneath its retro-styled exterior, the Bass 770 boasts a supercharged 6.2-liter V8 engine that puts out a roaring 640 horsepower. That kind of power isn't just for show. It gives this car the speed and strength to go head-to-head with today's high-performance vehicles. But it's not just about the raw numbers, because Equus took things up a notch by building the Bass 770 with lightweight carbon fiber. This smart choice not only makes the car agile and nimble, but also keeps it safe and sturdy. The drive itself is something to experience. The advanced transmission system allows for smooth, almost effortless shifts, whether you're pushing the car's limits or just cruising down the highway. Every time you're behind the wheel, you feel like you're part of something special, no matter the speed. But here's a twist. This car is a labor of love, crafted with care and produced in limited numbers, so it has that exclusivity factor collectors love. With a starting price tag around $250,000, the Bass 770 isn't cheap, but it's not meant to be. You're not just buying a car. You're getting a piece of automotive art that stands out from the crowd. Inside, the Bass 770 doesn't cut corners on comfort. The interior is filled with premium materials, and there's a state-of-the-art infotainment system to keep things convenient and entertaining. So whether you're on a casual drive or tackling a track, this car wraps you in luxury while delivering thrilling performance whenever you're ready to unleash it. Number 7. The Dodge Challenger SRT Superstock. The Dodge Challenger SRT Superstock is all about raw power and drag strip dominance, designed for those who live for the thrill of pure, unfiltered speed. With a monstrous 807 horsepower supercharged 6.2-liter V8 engine, this car doesn't just take the Challenger's legendary performance, it supercharges it. One of the most thrilling things about the Superstock is its jaw-dropping acceleration. This car rockets from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.25 seconds under the right conditions, making it one of the quickest in its class. And Dodge didn't just give it power, they built it specifically for drag racing fans. It comes with factory-mounted drag radials that help keep it glued to the ground when you punch the gas, so you get maximum traction right off the line. Dodge also balanced the weight perfectly, ensuring it stays steady and ready for launch. Its performance-tuned suspension means it handles beautifully, whether you're hitting high speeds or carving through corners. And let's talk about its looks. It's got an aggressive, muscular style that's unmistakably Challenger, with hood scoops, unique badging, and all the styling details that tell you this car is built for serious performance. Inside, you get the best of both worlds. Modern comforts, paired with race-inspired touches that make you feel connected to the sheer power under the hood. Starting around $80,000, the Superstock is a piece of American muscle history. Dodge is gradually moving toward electrification, and the Superstock stands as one of the last purebred muscle cars before this shift. So for those who crave the roar of a big V8 and the legacy of classic American power, the Challenger SRT Superstock is a high-octane celebration of everything muscle cars represent. Whether on the drag strip or the open road, this car is all about uncontrolled speed and Dodge's dedication to performance. Number 6. The Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. The Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 is a true powerhouse in today's world of muscle cars. Built for those who want both thrilling speed and sharp handling. Just look under the hood, and you'll find a supercharged 6.2-liter V8 engine that pumps out an incredible 650 horsepower and 650 pounds per foot of torque. This isn't just for show, because the ZL1 rockets from 0 to 60 miles per hour in a mere 3.5 seconds, making it one of the fastest cars in its class. But is it just about the raw speed? Or is there more to the story? Well, the ZL1 is packed with advanced tech to give you an amazing driving experience. Chevrolet fitted it with magnetic ride control, a suspension system that reads the road and adjusts instantly to keep the ride smooth and controlled. Then there's the electronic limited slip differential, which helps keep the car stable during fast turns by distributing power where it's needed most. The result? This car feels just as confident on tight road courses as it does on daily drives. The ZL1's design also plays a big role in performance. The front splitter and rear spoiler aren't just there to look cool. They're designed to create downforce, keeping the car steady and balanced even at high speeds. Inside, the Camaro ZL1 is all about the driver. The cockpit feels like it was built around you, with modern infotainment and high-quality materials that make every drive comfortable, whether you're commuting or tearing up the track. It's the perfect blend of muscle and refinement, making it easy to enjoy in any setting. Starting around $65,000, the Camaro ZL1 is a great value for the performance it offers. It's got the heart of a supercar without the supercar price, making it a fantastic choice for anyone who wants top-level speed and handling without breaking the bank. With the ZL1, Chevrolet keeps the muscle car legacy alive, delivering a ride that's powerful, refined, and simply exhilarating. Number 5. The Ford Mustang Dark Horse. The Ford Mustang Dark Horse is an exciting new chapter in the Mustang story, bringing together classic muscle car roots with cutting-edge performance. This model is powered by a naturally aspirated 5-liter V8 engine that delivers a thrilling 500 horsepower, making it one of the most powerful Mustangs you can get your hands on today. The Dark Horse isn't just about power, though. It's designed to handle like a dream on both regular roads and the racetrack. Ford put a lot of effort into refining the aerodynamics and strengthening the chassis, which means this Mustang stays stable and agile, whether you're taking it on winding back roads or pushing it to its limits on a track. The aggressive design features give it a bold look, with unique exterior touches that make it stand out from other Mustangs, but still honor that classic Mustang style. And it's fast, too. The Dark Horse can hit 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 4 seconds, which puts it up there with some serious contenders. But Ford didn't sacrifice comfort for speed. This car is just as enjoyable to drive on a daily basis. Inside, the cabin is all about the driver. The layout is designed to keep you engaged, with advanced tech that's easy to access and enhances the whole driving experience. It's a car that makes you feel in control and excited to get on the road. Starting at a price point that's competitive for a high-performance muscle car, the Mustang Dark Horse gives enthusiasts an impressive mix of power, style, and sophistication. It's a modern twist on a classic, showing Ford's commitment to keeping the Mustang both fresh and true to its heritage. For anyone who wants the thrill of a race-ready car that's still practical for everyday driving, the Ford Mustang Dark Horse is a standout choice. It's not just another Mustang. It's a bold, powerful machine that's ready to make a mark. Number 4. The Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat. The Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat is a beast in the world of muscle cars, known for its powerful engine and bold, aggressive look. At its core is a supercharged 6.2-liter Hemi V8 engine that cranks out a thrilling 707 horsepower and 650 pounds-per-foot of torque. That much power means the Hellcat can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.6 seconds, putting it right up there with the quickest cars in its class. Whether you go with the 8-speed automatic transmission for smooth, rapid shifts, or the 6-speed manual for a more hands-on experience, the Hellcat gives you the speed and excitement you crave. The rear-wheel drive setup helps the Hellcat hug the road, especially on straightaways, making every drive feel like a race. And the design? It's unmistakably a muscle car, with a wide stance, a bold front end, and an aggressive rear that screams performance. With a top speed of around 200 miles per hour, the Challenger SRT Hellcat is built for speed enthusiasts who want to push the limits. But how does Dodge make sure that you're getting comfort as well? Well, the cabin is spacious and comes loaded with modern tech like an 8.4-inch touchscreen, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto, so you're always connected while you drive. Plus, it's got plenty of safety features, like multiple airbags and advanced traction control systems to help manage all that power while keeping you safe. Starting at around $71,895, the Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat offers incredible value for the performance it delivers. It's one of the last true muscle cars with a V8 engine, making it a tribute to American automotive performance. For those who crave speed, style, and that classic muscle car feeling, the Hellcat is hard to beat. Number 3. The Dodge Charger Hellcat Red-Eye Jailbreak. The Dodge Charger Hellcat Red-Eye Jailbreak is the perfect blend of family-friendly practicality and mind-blowing performance. Under its aggressive hood sits a supercharged 6.2-liter V8 engine that pumps out a jaw-dropping 797 horsepower. It's one of the last versions of the Charger before Dodge shifts its focus to electric vehicles, making it a true send-off for the muscle car era. With its muscular build and bold design, the Hellcat Red-Eye Jailbreak doesn't just drive, it grabs attention wherever it goes. When it comes to speed, this car doesn't mess around. It sprints from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.6 seconds, putting many sports cars to shame. But here's the thing. It's still a full-size sedan, which means you can comfortably fit up to 5 passengers without sacrificing performance. If you want something that's truly unique, the Jailbreak version lets you customize everything, from the color scheme to various features, giving you the chance to make this beast your own. Now, the Hellcat Red-Eye Jailbreak is engineered for speed, but it's also built to handle the twists and turns with ease. With upgraded suspension and performance-tuned brakes, this car grips the road like a dream, whether you're blasting down the straightaways or taking on tight corners. And let's not forget it can reach speeds over 200 miles per hour, so it's more than capable of giving you the thrill of a lifetime. Starting around $74,000, the Charger Hellcat Red-Eye Jailbreak offers high-performance thrills without losing sight of practicality. Inside, you'll find a well-equipped cabin with modern tech, including a user-friendly infotainment system and top-notch materials. This car manages to honor the raw power of classic American muscle while bringing in the best of today's automotive innovations. It's a fitting tribute to the muscle car legacy, offering everything you want in a high-performance vehicle wrapped in a practical and stylish package. Number 2. The Chevrolet Camaro Exorcist. The Chevrolet Camaro Exorcist, built by Hennessy Performance, is not just a muscle car. It's a beast. Taking the already powerful Camaro ZL1 and pushing it to the next level, this car is packing a shocking 1,000 horsepower from its supercharged 6.2-liter V8 engine. It's Hennessy's answer to Dodge's high-performance models, and it absolutely delivers. With a 0 to 60 mile per hour time of under 3 seconds, the Exorcist is one of the quickest cars out there. And when you throw in drag radial tires, it can run a quarter mile in less than 10 seconds. That's insane. But what makes the Exorcist so special? Well, it isn't just its raw power, but the careful attention to detail in its engineering. Hennessy has fine-tuned the engine with a bigger supercharger, an upgraded exhaust system, and custom tuning to make sure this car produces all that horsepower without breaking a sweat. Despite the monstrous power under the hood, the Exorcist is surprisingly easy to drive. Thanks to a well-balanced chassis and advanced suspension system, it handles like a dream, whether you're tearing up a racetrack or cruising down the highway. It's not just a track star. It's also practical enough for everyday use. At a price point around $100,000, the Camaro Exorcist offers exclusivity and insane performance. Hennessy backs it up with a 2-year warranty, showing their confidence in the car's engineering. On top of that, the Exorcist looks as aggressive as it drives, with unique badging and aerodynamic enhancements that not only improve its looks but also its performance. It's a perfect example of modern muscle car engineering. It's the ultimate combination of raw power and refined handling, built for those who demand the best of both worlds in a high-performance car. If you want a car that will turn heads and leave everything in the dust, the Exorcist is it. Number 1. The Dodge Challenger SRT Demon 170. This is the true apex predator in the world of muscle cars. Packing a mind-blowing 1,025 horsepower from its supercharged 6.2-liter V8 engine, this car is designed with one purpose in mind: drag racing domination. It rockets from 0 to 60 miles per hour in an unbelievable 1.66 seconds, making it one of the fastest production cars to launch off the line. That level of acceleration is achieved with drag radial tires and a high-performance suspension system that ensures maximum grip and stability as the Demon 170 tears up the track. As part of Dodge's Last Call series, the Demon 170 represents the end of an era for traditional muscle cars before the brand shifts its focus toward electrification. And it's no surprise why the car is so special. Everything about it is built for speed. To maximize performance, Dodge stripped the Demon 170 down to the essentials. It even comes with an option for a single front seat to reduce weight and boost performance. This car isn't about luxury or comfort. It's about raw power and speed. The aggressive styling is more than just eye candy, too. Functional aerodynamic features like a massive front splitter and rear wing help keep the car planted on the ground at high speeds, generating crucial downforce. At around $76,000, the Demon 170 is an exciting ride that combines insane performance with exclusivity. It's not just a muscle car, it's a collector's item for serious enthusiasts. It also offers advanced tech like launch control, which helps optimize acceleration, and customizable driving modes that let you fine-tune the car's performance to match your driving style. As one of the last true gasoline-powered muscle cars from Dodge, the SRT Demon 170 stands as a powerful reminder of the raw, untamed thrill of American muscle. And there you have it. The most insane, powerful, modern muscle cars that are dominating the streets and tracks today. From the raw power of the Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat to the precision engineering of the Chevrolet Camaro ZL1, these machines are a perfect blend of performance, style, and engineering mastery. Which one of these powerhouses would you want to take for a spin? Drop a comment below and let us know which muscle car is your ultimate pick. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more insane car content coming your way. See you on the next one.
Imagine hitting the gas and feeling pure power surge through you as the sound of a roaring V8 fills the air. But not all muscle cars are made equal, especially in 1969, when some engines sounded like thunder rolling through the streets. But what engine has a sound so smooth it was almost polite until you hit the gas, and which ones roared like a wild beast, leaving no doubt it owned the road? Well, stick around to find out which of these beasts ruled the streets with a sound that still echoes in the memories of muscle car fans. Number 40. The 1969 Ford Falcon GT. The 1969 Ford Falcon GT, specifically the XW GT, was a real game changer down under. This wasn't just about looks. It had a 351 cubic inch V8 that roared like a beast when you hit the gas. The 351 Windsor engine originally powered this monster, but soon Ford swapped it with the most famous 351 Cleveland, adding even more punch to the engine's deep, throaty sound. But the sound wasn't the only thing that set it apart. The Falcon GT came with serious style, sporting aggressive details like a huge bonnet scoop, racing mirrors, and those iconic locking pins on the hood. With dual exhaust that belted out a mean note from each corner, it was clear that this car meant business. Ford even created two special versions, the GT-HO Phase 1 and Phase 2, specifically built for racing fans. They fine-tuned the engine, brakes, and handling so the Falcon could thunder through the Touring Car Championship, with fans cheering on legends like Moffitt. The Subaru decals on the sides weren't just for show either. They were a nod to the Falcon's 4-barrel 351 V8, which was all about performance. Imagine standing next to this beast, hearing the sound of all that power rumbling through its pipes. It's an experience that would give any car enthusiast chills. Number 39. The 1969 Plymouth Sport Fury. While the Ford Falcon was built for performance, the '69 Plymouth Sport Fury took on a different kind of muscle car vibe. Plymouth gave the Fury a complete makeover, adding a massive body with what they called fuselage styling. This wasn't your sleek, nimble car. It was a big cruiser designed with a raised beltline that made it feel a bit like driving a tank. And when you heard that big block 440 V8 growl, it really felt like one too. Though it was more about comfort than quarter-mile speed, the Fury had some solid engineering under the hood. Its torsion bar front suspension made it smooth on the highway, and the big V8 options, especially the burly 440, gave it some surprising grunt when you needed it. For those who wanted to take their sports Fury on the open road, Plymouth introduced a quirky turnpike cruising package. This setup included a 2-barrel 383 engine, cruise control, and a 276:1 axle ratio, basically tuning it for long stretches of easy, steady driving. Sure, it might not have the track record of the Falcon, but Fury's smooth engine note and sheer size made it a unique presence on the road. And with details like hidden wipers and the new 15-inch wheels, it was a bit of a stylish giant, perfect for those who love the power and poise of a full-size cruiser. Number 38. The 1969 Pontiac Le Mans. Then there was the Pontiac Le Mans, a gem crafted during John DeLorean's iconic run at Pontiac. It wasn't the top dog in the lineup. That honor went to the GTO. But the Le Mans had its own personality. Priced around $3,000 in '69, it was affordable yet packed with character. Under the hood, Pontiac offered something unexpected: the overhead Cam 6 engine, one of DeLorean's engineering feats. This wasn't your typical V8 roar. Instead, the Le Mans purred with a unique sound thanks to its timing belt-driven straight six. The base Le Mans engine delivered 175 horsepower, while the high-performance Sprint version cranked it up with 230. The Sprint might not have matched the GTO's thunder, but it offered a lighter, sportier feel that made handling a breeze. Though not a roaring beast like the V8s of the era, the 08 C6 had a satisfying, smooth tone, a balanced hum that was rare in muscle cars. Pontiac marketed it as modern and efficient, setting it apart from the rumbling giants on the road. Number 37. The 1969 Ford Galaxy. The Ford Galaxy's roots trace back to the late 50s, named in honor of the space race. By 1969, it had evolved into a full-size powerhouse ready to battle Chevy's Impala and Dodge's Polara. But the real thrill came from the engine choices Ford offered that year, especially the 429 cubic inch Thunderjet. This big block V8 replaced the 427 and 428 engines, revving up to 360 horsepower with its dual exhaust version. Imagine hearing that Thunderjet growl. Every time you pressed down on the gas, you unleashed a deep, powerful rumble that only a big block V8 could deliver. It wasn't just loud, it was the kind of sound that turned heads from blocks away. And the Galaxy wasn't just about brute force. Ford gave it some style upgrades too. The interior had a driver-focused dashboard, and the sports roof models had a sleek, fastback look. In short, the Galaxy combined elegance and raw power, making it a legend among full-size muscle cars. Number 36, the 1969 Mercury Cougar Eliminator 428 CJ. The Mercury Cougar Eliminator wasn't your typical muscle car. This was Mercury's answer to the Mustang and Thunderbird, blending luxury with raw power. Within the mighty 428 Cobra Jet V8, under the hood, this Cougar wasn't just purring, it was roaring a 390-plus horsepower. Even though it was officially rated at 335 HP, Mercury only rolled out 302 of these 7-liter big block monsters in the Eliminator trim, making it a rare and sought-after gem. If you're lucky enough to find one in mint condition, you could be looking at a price tag of around 70 grand, which shows just how legendary it has become over time. A true muscle car icon, the Eliminator proves that sometimes a little luxury and a lot of horsepower can coexist pretty perfectly. Number 35, the 1969 Mercury Cyclone 428 CJ. The Cyclone Cobra Jet might be the undercover hero of '69's muscle scene. It didn't get the fame of Ford's Torino or Dodge's Super Bee, but to some, that's what makes it special. Equipped with Ford's hot 428 Ci V8, the Cyclone CJ was secretly kicking out closer to 400 HP, even though it was advertised as 335 HP. This beast could clock 14-second quarter miles, a real feat back then. Only about 2,175 Cyclone CJs rolled off the assembly line, making it rare and thrilling to spot today. The Cyclone CJ was a powerhouse wrapped in a cloak of mystery, capturing the rebellious spirit of the muscle car era for those who preferred a car that spoke softly but carried a big stick under the hood. Number 34, the 1969 Chevrolet Nova SS 396. Chevy's Nova SS 396 was the car for anyone wanting power without the show-off factor. It looked like an ordinary compact, but pop the hood and there was a ferocious 396 SID V8 engine waiting to roar. With the SS package, the sleeper could jump from 0 to 60 in no time, often surprising the high-end muscle cars it faced. For those who wanted even more muscle, Chevy offered the L78 engine upgrade, taking the Nova to an astonishing 370 HP. Car and Driver aptly described it as the junior Chevy with the senior engine. It was fast, powerful, and balanced. 55% of its weight was on the front axle, a rare setup among muscle cars that let the Nova unleash its fury on the streets with ease. Number 33, the 69 Dodge Charger 500 Hemi. This car was Chrysler's attempt to conquer NASCAR, and it's packed with raw, ground-shaking power. The Charger 500 was built with aerodynamics in mind, swapping out the split grille and reworking the rear to streamline its shape. But let's talk about that engine. When the 426 Hemi was fired up, it didn't just growl, it roared. The sound was intense, thanks to its big V8 cylinders pushing out an almost mythic rumble. Testers loved its agility on the street, especially with its manual transmission that could hit the quarter mile in just over 13 seconds, topping out around 104 miles per hour. This automatic version lagged just a touch, but still gave a thrilling performance. This wasn't just a race car in disguise. It handled city traffic and highway cruising with equal ease. Yet, despite all this, the Charger's 500 racing record didn't match the car's promise. So, Chrysler didn't stop there. They went on to design the famous Dodge Daytona with a wild wing and nose cone, taking things even further in the aero wars. Still, the Charger 500 remains one of the loudest, proudest muscle cars to ever hit the street. Number 32, the 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429. When people saw this beast, they thought it would be Ford's answer to the Corvette, a street racer. But the Boss 429 had a different mission: NASCAR. Ford needed 500 units to qualify the engine for racing, but they chose to drop it into the newly styled 69 Mustang. The 429 cubic inch V8 was a powerhouse designed for high revving tracks, complete with a Holley 4-barrel carb and aluminum high riser. But here's where things got interesting. The engine was all about top-end speed, not the drag strip grunt muscle car fans expected. It needed those revs to really show off, which meant it wasn't as quick as off the line as some other big block monsters. There were even early issues with the valve springs, which limited the RPM and prevented the engine from showing its full potential. Ford put effort into making the Boss handle well, giving it a wider track and better suspension. But despite this handling boost, fans were a bit disappointed with its quarter-mile times. The Boss 429 sounded incredible though, a high-revving roar that was completely different from the low growl of the Charger. Ford stopped the Boss 429 after 1970, leaving enthusiasts with a car that sounded amazing and handled beautifully, but never quite became the street warrior fans expected. Number 31, the 1969 Plymouth GTX 440. The 1969 Plymouth GTX 440 was a classic powerhouse, known as Plymouth's first all-in-one performance model. The GTX shared a body with the rougher Roadrunner, but came dressed in finer details like chrome trims, double stripes, and a high-end interior. Standard was the Super Commando 440 engine, a 375 horsepower big block V8 that made it more than capable on the track. While the optimal 426 Hemi engine could take the GTX to even higher levels of performance, it was pricier, so only a select few went for it. The GTX's sophisticated look set it apart, showing that a muscle car could have both style and power. Number 30, the 1969 Dodge Super Bee 440 6-pack. Then, we've got the Dodge Super Bee 440 6-pack, which was Dodge's answer to Plymouth's Roadrunner. Built on the Chrysler Bee's platform, the Super Bee became an instant hit for its raw power and affordability. If you chose the A12 package, your Super Bee came with a 440 cubic inch engine, 3 carburetors, aka the 6-pack, and a look that screamed power, a flat black hood with 6-pack lettering, and a liftoff hood design. It was a bit longer and heavier than its Roadrunner cousin, but that didn't stop it from dominating on the streets. With an impressive 390 horsepower. For a true performance experience, most drivers went for the 4-speed manual transmission, paired with a Hurst shifter that made gear changes smooth and precise. In terms of collectible value, the 6-pack Super Bees remain slightly more affordable than the rare Hemi models, making them a popular choice for muscle car enthusiasts today. Number 29, the 1969 Pontiac GTO Judge. With its bright orange paint, cool rally wheels, and iconic decals, the Judge turned heads before it even started. But the real magic was under the hood. The Ram Air 3 V8 engine. Fire it up, and you've got a throaty, aggressive sound that dared anyone to try to keep up. Pontiac didn't hold back on style either, adding a rear spoiler, a hood scoop, and a Hurst shifter, making it a dream for young drivers looking for a statement ride. The Judge went from 0 to 60 in a flash, hitting the quarter mile in 13.2 seconds at 104 miles per hour. Number 28, the 69 Plymouth Roadrunner 440 6-pack A12. The Plymouth Roadrunner was already a beast, but the 440 6-pack, known officially as the A12 package, took things to another level. Imagine pulling up to a stoplight and hearing that deep, thunderous idle of a 440 cubic inch V8 just waiting to be unleashed. This wasn't just a sound, it was a statement. 390 horsepower and 490 pound-per-foot of torque rumbling under a fiberglass hood. Held in place by 4 pins for that all-business look. When you floored it, 3 Holley carburetors kicked in, 1 2-barrel for everyday driving and 2 extra 2-barrels for that full-throttle roar. Push the pedal and you'll feel a wave of power as the Roadrunner lunged forward. In a test run, drag racer Ronnie Socks hit 111.8 miles per hour in the quarter mile, clocking it at 12.91 seconds. A serious time for a factory car. Plymouth made fewer than 1,500 of these coupes and hardtops, and when you heard one scream down the track, you knew it was something special. The Roadrunner 812 was like a one-hit wonder in music. It arrived, made an unforgettable impression, and then Plymouth stopped production, leaving fans wanting more. Number 27, the 69 Chevy Camaro ZL1. The 69 Camaro ZL1 was a special breed. Chevy built this Camaro for one purpose: to dominate the drag strip. The ZL1 had a unique all-aluminum 427 cubic inch V8 engine, producing over 500 horsepower. Chevy rated it at 430, but insiders knew it was more. And at just 500 pounds, it was as light as Chevy's smaller V8s, making it incredibly powerful and fast. Imagine this: you're at a drag race and you hear the ZL1 rev up. A high-pitched roar that's sharper and more aggressive than the Roadrunner's low rumble. Equipped with a 410 Posey rear end, this car could launch hard and fast. Straight from the factory, it could run low 13s, but with some added headers, slick tires, and fine-tuning, it could blast through the quarter mile in the 11s, even hitting speeds of 122 miles per hour. But all that performance came at a steep price. Just the engine added $4,160 to the sticker, making the ZL1 cost a whopping $7,200, a huge amount in '69. Chevy instantly struggled to sell these cars, but the rarity and sheer power of the ZL1 quickly made it a legend. Today, it's a collector's dream. Number 26, the Dodge Coronet RT440. Launched in September 1968, this muscle car wasn't shy. It had a loud, aggressive style, backed by serious performance. It came with Dodge's Super B trim, a popular choice thanks to its high-powered 383 Magnum engine. But if you really wanted to shake things up, there was the RT Road Track model, offering a mighty 440 cubic inch V8. The Coronet 440 wasn't just fast, it had that classic deep, rumbling exhaust note that muscle car fans dreamed about. A low growl at idle, which turned into a thunderous roar when the pedal hit the floor. For added flair, the Coronet came in vibrant colors like bright red, green, and turquoise, with the iconic bumblebee stripes wrapping around its rear. It had a vinyl roof and an option for bench or bucket seats, allowing a touch of customization in a raw muscle machine. Inside, the rally suspension and heavy-duty shocks made sure the car handled well, but let's be honest, it was the sound that sold this beast. Number 25, the 69 Chevrolet Chevelle SS. Marketed as America's most popular midsize car, it came with sleek front-end styling, chrome headlights, and a new grille, making it both stylish and menacing. But the real heart of the Chevelle SS was its engine, a 396 cubic inch V8 that packed 325 to 375 horsepower. When you turned the key, this car let out a rumble that was more refined than the Coronet's raw roar, but it had its own signature sound that was unforgettable. For those who wanted to push the limits, Chevrolet offered the L72 420 engine, a massive 425 horsepower powerhouse that only a few lucky buyers got to experience. Every push of the accelerator sent a deep, throaty rumble from the exhaust, a sound that still resonates with the car enthusiasts. And if you were lucky enough to see a special COPO Central Office production order Chevelle, you'd know it was built to dominate. Only a handful were made, and they were sold through select dealerships like Yenko Chevrolet, famous for their street beasts. Even the Chevelle station wagons offered unique features, like a dual-action tailgate, proving that Chevy was all about blending functionality with style. Number 24, the 1969 Buick Grand Sport GS. Buick wasn't playing around in 1969, even though they weren't into flashy special editions like Chevy or Pontiac. While everyone else at General Motors was dropping special models, Buick kept it cool and sophisticated with the GS 400. This model came with standard hood scoops, but they weren't just for show, they had a cool air induction system. When you revved up that V8, the twin snorkel air cleaner kicked in, boosting power and torque. And that was only the beginning. Buick offered two performance packages for the GS 469, Stage 1 and the extremely rare Stage 2. Stage 1 turned things up with 345 horsepower, a high-lift cam, and exhaust big enough to let that V8 roar. If you were lucky enough to get your hands on a Stage 2, you were looking at 360 horsepower and an even bigger punch. One thing that set the Buick apart was its smoothness. This was a muscle car that didn't shake and rattle at idle like its competitors. When you put your foot down, the engine responds with a powerful, satisfying growl, but keeps things smooth like a performance car. That's also a bit of a gentleman. Number 23, the 1969 Chevy Corvette. This car was nothing short of an icon. With its sleek aerodynamic design, it's easy to spot on the road. When you opt for the coupe or convertible, this car is engineered to perform. At its heart is a robust 350 cubic inch V8 engine, delivering 300 horsepower. But if you're craving more power, you could step up to a heart-pounding 435 horsepower version. When you hit the gas, the engine comes alive with a deep, rumbling growl that's instantly recognizable. The sound is a symphony of raw power, resonating through the streets as you accelerate. And with disc brakes on all four corners, you can be confident that you'll stop just as impressively as you go. The Corvette isn't just about speed, it offers a driving experience that combines power with a touch of sophistication, making every ride an event. Inside, the Corvette is decked out with gauges for everything, including oil pressure and tachometer readings, giving you all the info you need at your fingertips. It's designed to be comfortable and user-friendly with a steering wheel that feels just right in your hands. The smooth operation of the windshield wipers and the improved ventilation systems means that even at high speeds, you can enjoy the ride without distractions. Number 22, the 1969 Dodge Dart 440. On the other end of the spectrum, we have the 1969 Dodge Dart 440, a car that's a bit more of a sleeper. At first glance, it may look like a simple compact car, but it's hiding some serious muscle under the hood. Dodge took a hefty 440 cubic inch V8 and dropped it into this mid-size body, producing a whopping 375 horsepower and 440 pound-per-foot of torque. The Dart 440 has a sound all in its own, a thunderous rumble that you feel in your bones. When you fire up that engine, it's like a storm brewing. You know something powerful is about to happen. With a quarter-mile time of around 12.7 seconds, this car isn't just about looks, it's all about performance. It's the kind of car that makes other drivers think twice when they hear that powerful engine roar beside them. While it may not boast the same polished finish as the Corvette, the Dart's unassuming appearance only adds to its charm. It's a car that lures you in with its understated design, then surprises you with its fierce capabilities. Just remember though, that with all that power comes the need for respect, especially when it comes to stopping. Number 21, the 69 Shelby GT 500. When it comes to muscle cars, the 69 Ford Mustang Shelby GT 500 stands out, not just for its looks, but for its thunderous sound of its engine. This car took the iconic Mustang to a whole new level, featuring a sleek, aggressive fastback design that turned heads on the road. At the heart of this beast was the powerful 428 cubic inch Cobra Jet V8 engine. With a factory-rated 335 horsepower and a massive 440 pound-per-foot of torque, it had enough muscle to make any driver's heart race. Fire up that V8 and you're greeted with a rumble that's both fierce and exhilarating. The deep growl is unmistakable, setting the stage for what this car can do. You can feel the raw power as you hit the gas, launching you from 0 to 60 in just over 6 seconds. A remarkable feat for a car from the late 60s. Whether you opted for the classic 4-speed manual or the automatic transmission, the sound of that engine roaring to life was music to any car enthusiast's ears. Sadly, 1969 marked the end of an era for the original Shelby GT500. Carroll Shelby's partnership with Ford came to a close, marking this model a rare gem that collectors cherish today. With its distinct style, aggressive sound, and impressive performance, the 1969 Shelby GT500 remains a top pick for those who love the thrill of the drive. Number 20. The 1969 Plymouth Barracuda. Now, let's talk about the 1969 Plymouth Barracuda, a car that evolved from its humble beginnings into a true muscle contender. The first-gen model didn't quite pack a punch, but this changed dramatically with its second generation. By 1969, the Barracuda entered muscle car territory, featuring new V8 options, including the powerful 340 cubic inch small block engine. When you fire up the Barracuda, the sound is a blend of attitude and confidence. With a deep, throaty rumble that can turn heads, the Barracuda exudes power without even moving. While it may not have the same reputation as some of its competitors, the Barracuda has its share of unique features, like the rare mod top, a vinyl roof with a floral design that added a touch of flair. The sound of the engine, though, is what truly matters, and the Barracuda delivers a satisfying growl that can make any drive a thrilling experience. Number 19. The 69 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am Ram Air 303. In 1969, Pontiac felt the heat of competition, needing to up its game in the V8 engine wars. Enter the Ram Air V, designed for maximum airflow and raw power. This beast of an engine featured mirrored ports with cleverly spaced intake valves that allowed for an impressive intake of air, making the engine purr like a lion ready to unleash its roar. The Ram Air V came in several sizes, both the 303 cubic inch version, with the rare gem of the bunch, with only about 25 ever made. Imagine the thrill of hearing that engine come to life, its growl promising unmatched performance. This power plant was built for racing, boasting a design so aggressive that it could outflow even the legendary Hemi engine. Though at low RPMs, it lacked torque. Unfortunately, fate dealt a cruel hand. A combination of regulatory changes and production issues meant that this powerhouse never hit the streets in large numbers. However, those lucky enough to find one day can truly appreciate the rarity and the legendary sound that embodies the spirit of American muscle. Number 18. The 69 Dodge Dart 440 Hemi Magnum GTS. Now, let's shift gears to the 69 Dodge Dart 440 Hemi Magnum GTS. As the muscle car era faced a slowdown, Dodge pulled a rabbit out of its hat by cramming a 440 cubic inch Magnum into their compact Dart. Think of it like a small car packing a punch with 375 horsepower and 440 pound-per-foot of torque, unleashing an engine growl that could wake the neighbors. But this wasn't just about power, it was about a thrilling driving experience. With a quarter-mile time of just 13 seconds right off the showroom floor, the Dart became a favorite for those wanting speed and style without breaking the bank. You could go from 0 to 60 in just over 5 seconds, a feat that still impresses car enthusiasts today. The roar of the Hemi engine as you accelerate was nothing short of music to the ears of any muscle car fan. Dodge's decision to keep things simple meant no power steering or brakes, leading to a pure driving experience. With its powerful engine and striking looks, this car was all about performance, delivering serious bang for your buck at a price that today would translate to about $22,000. Just imagine cruising in a Dart, its engine roaring as you leave your mark on the pavement. Number 17, 69 Oldsmobile 442 W30. Now, this car maintained a classic look reminiscent of the previous year's model, but sported some exciting updates. The front grille design was sleeker, and the trunk now featured stylish inlets for the taillights. Under the hood, the 442 roared to life with a powerful 455 cubic inch V8 engine delivering a staggering 380 horsepower. Imagine the sound of that engine deep and rumbling like a lion's growl, announcing its presence on the road. The performance was thrilling, with 0 to 60 achieved in just 5.9 seconds and a quarter-mile run completed in a jaw-dropping 14.03 seconds. This 442 was a perfect mix of speed and style, with functional hood scoops that added to its aggressive stance. Each time the accelerator was pressed, the engine unleashed a symphony of power that sent shivers down the spine of any car enthusiast. Number 16, the 69 AMC Javelin SST. The 69 AMC Javelin SST was a fierce competitor in the pony car market. Designed by the talented Dick Teague, the Javelin offered a sporty vibe that was hard to resist. With its front-end engine, rear-wheel drive layout, it was built for those who craved excitement. The Javelin was versatile, available in various trims and engine options. But let's focus on the sound that truly defined this muscle car. When equipped with the 390 cubic inch V8, the Javelin's engine erupted with a thrilling roar that can make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. The exhaust note was a blend of power and aggression, captivating anyone within earshot. The Mod Javelin package introduced a host of eye-catching features, including a roof-mounted spoiler and vibrant paint options like neon blue and orange. The additions weren't just for show, they reflected the youthful spirit of the times, encouraging drivers to stand out and make a statement. The interior also got an upgrade with stylish instrumentation that complemented the car's performance-oriented nature. Number 15, the 1969 Chevy Impala SS 427. In '69, the Chevy Impala still offered the Supersport SS option package, but it came exclusively with one of two powerful 427 cubic inch V8 engines, earning it the nickname SS 427. Despite its impressive pedigree, the Impala SS 427 struggled against the rising popularity of smaller, lighter performance cars like the SS Camaros and Chevelles. Consequently, 1969 marked the end of the Impala SS era, with only about 2,500 units produced. Following this year, the Impala was primarily seen as a family sedan, yet the SS 427 remained a formidable vehicle with a legacy of power. The exterior of the SS 427 featured the standard Impala trim, which included narrow chrome strips running from front to rear and around the wheel wells. Unique to the SS 427 were distinguishing features such as an SS emblem on the front fenders and deck lid, replacing the traditional Chevy bow tie in the grille. This grille stood out with its blackout treatment, complemented by redline tires that many SS 427 sported. Contrary to popular belief, hideaway headlights were not an option for the SS 427. They were exclusive to the Caprice model. While there could be exceptions to this rule, no documented cases existed of an Impala being factory fitted with hideaway headlights.
Chevy Impala.
Number 14, the '69 Ford Torino Cobra. Produced from '68 to '76, the Ford Torino was designed to compete in the intermediate market segment and was closely related to the Mercury Montego, initially an upscale version of the Ford Fairlane. The Torino became the main designation for Ford's intermediate line by 1970, completely replacing the Fairlane name. The '69 Torino lineup expanded, introducing high-performance versions like the Torino Cobra, which featured powerful engines such as the 428 Coup in Cobra Jet and the 429 Coup in Super Cobra Jet. The 69 models retain much of the styling from 1968, but with some updates in the grille and taillights. The Cobra, specifically marketed without the Fairline name, emphasized performance, coming equipped with the 428 4V Cobra Jet engine, competition suspension, and distinct styling cues like a blacked-out grille and hood lock pins. The engine options for the Torino were revised, with most models featuring a large 250 Coup in i6 as standard. While the Cobra models were fitted with the powerful 428 CJ engine, this engine could be ordered with or without a Ram Air induction package. The Cobra also included features like a non-functional fiberglass hood scoop, which became functional if the Ram Air induction was specified. Despite a decline in overall Torino production, with just shy of 130,000 units made in 1969, the Torino Cobra positioned itself as a performance-oriented vehicle, directly competing with the likes of the Plymouth Roadrunner. The Torino GT maintained its appeal with upscale features, and performance focus captured the spirit of the muscle car era. Number 13. The 69 AMC AMX. This car is a surprising entry from the American Motors Corporation, often overshadowed by the big three automakers. This two-seater sports car emerged after AMC realized it needed a performance boost to keep up in the muscle car game. Inspired by a 1966 concept car, the AMX hit the road after AMC modified its successful Javelin into a sleeker version. Under the hood, it boasted a selection of engines, starting with a 290 cubic inch V8 and going up to a beastly 390 cubic inch variant that cranked out a thrilling 340 horsepower. Say you're behind the wheel, and as you press the gas, the sound of that powerful engine fills the air, an aggressive rumble that ignites your spirit. The AMX could leap from 0 to 60 in about 7 to 8 seconds, all while keeping you fully engaged in the driving experience with minimal distractions. The absence of power steering and other modern luxuries added to its raw charm, making you feel truly connected to the road. Despite its short production run, only about 19,000 units, this little muscle car made a lasting impact. Today, you can find one of these gems valued between $8,800 and $34,000, depending on its condition. For those lucky enough to snag the 390 engine with a manual transmission, be prepared to pay a premium. The AMX is a unique blend of styles, challenging the typical classifications of its time. It stands as a testament to the underdog spirit in the automotive world. Number 12. The 69 Pontiac Firebird HO. Next, let's rev up the engine of the 69 Pontiac Firebird HO, known as the light heavyweight. This car was all about blending performance with affordability. While Pontiac didn't initially offer a small block engine, they crafted the Firebird HO with a spirited 326 cubic inch V8, producing 285 horsepower. But wait, they didn't stop there. They upgraded to a 350 cubic inch engine that really made waves with its 325 horsepower. The true joy of the Firebird HO lies in its engine sound. With a throaty growl and a snappy response, it could sprint down the quarter mile in just over 14 seconds. Imagine the adrenaline rush as the exhaust note reverberates through your chest. The combination of a high-output V8, a refined chassis, and an aggressive camshaft made this car a performance bargain. As the Firebird entered its final year in this configuration, it featured mechanical upgrades that enhanced its performance, making it an underrated contender in the muscle car arena. With its standard features and various options, the Firebird HO was a well-rounded package. Number 11. The 69 Oldsmobile Cutlass S. Now, the Cutlass has a rich history with General Motors dating back to the 1960s. By '69, this beauty was really coming into its own, showing off a classic style and some impressive performance. While other brands were busy with flashing special editions, Oldsmobile kept things sophisticated with the Cutlass. The F85 Cutlass line got some subtle updates, like the stylish split grille and those eye-catching vertical taillights. Under the hood, the Cutlass offered a range of engines, and while it didn't change much from '68, it did get a new 3-speed turbo Hydra-Matic 350 transmission option. The standard 350 cubic inch rocket V8 churned out 310 horsepower, but if you were lucky enough to grab the W31 option, you'd be looking at 325 horsepower. Picture this, you're behind the wheel, and as you rev up that V8, you get a strong, confident growl that makes you feel alive. It's not just powerful, it's smooth, handling like a dream while providing the satisfying rumble that turns heads. Number 10. The 69 Dodge Charger SE 383. Now let's shift gears to the 69 Dodge Charger SE, a car that screams muscle car history. With its stunning design and roomy interior, the Charger was a hit, selling over 85,000 units that year. If you wanted raw power, the legendary Hemi was the way to go. This engine, with its hemispherical combustion chambers, was the stuff of racing dreams. The Charger street versions had a 426 cubic inch Hemi V8, which pumped out a jaw-dropping 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. Imagine the thrill as you push down on the accelerator. The deep, throaty roar of that Hemi engine is music to the ears of any car enthusiast. It was known for its ability to rev smoothly and endlessly, making it feel like you were gliding rather than just driving. And while some muscle car engines could be temperamental, the Hemi was surprisingly well-mannered, handling city driving like a champ. Our featured Charger had all the bells and whistles, power steering, disc brakes, and even a stylish vintage top. This car wasn't just built for looks, it performed beautifully, running the quarter mile in an impressive 13.65 seconds. With that power and that engine growl, the Charger SE is truly a piece of muscle car history. Number 9. The Chevelle Malibu V8. The Chevy Chevelle, particularly the 1969 Malibu V8, was a fan favorite, blending style with serious power. It sported a 396 cubic inch V8 engine that churned out a robust 325 horsepower. When you fired it up, the engine roared to life, producing a sound that could make any car enthusiast's heart race. The growl was unmistakably powerful, with a deep rumble that echoed like distant thunder, signaling that this was a serious machine. With sleek new styling, the Chevelle featured quad headlights and a more aggressive front grille that matched its fierce engine sound. The optional Supersport SS package included a version of that same V8 that could reach 350 or even 375 horsepower. Can you imagine the thrill of that sound? It wasn't just an engine, it was music, an intoxicating mix of power and adrenaline. Number 8. The 69 Pontiac GTO. On the other side of the muscle car showdown was the legendary Pontiac GTO. Known for kickstarting the muscle car craze in the 60s, the GTO roared with a distinctive character all its own. For $69, it offered an upgraded 400 Ram Air engine that cranked out a thrilling 366 horsepower. The sound of that V8, with its high-flow exhaust and aggressive camshaft, was nothing short of exhilarating. When you pressed the accelerator, it released a sharp, throaty growl that turned heads everywhere it went, adding to its allure with a new model called the Judge, which offered a more stripped-down race-inspired package that emphasized performance and raw sound over luxury. With a spoiler that claimed to add a touch of downforce at speed, it certainly didn't skimp on the audacious growl that made it memorable. The Judge was colorful, loud, and proud, solidifying the GTO's reputation in muscle car history. Number 7. The 69 Mercury Cougar XR7. A classy performer in the late 60s, muscle cars were all about power and style, and the 69 Mercury Cougar XR7 was a standout. While some brands were busy launching flashy special editions, Mercury kept it sleek and sophisticated with the Cougar Eliminator. This wasn't your average muscle car. It had an overall redesign that turned heads, Gone was the old grille, replaced by a clean look featuring hidden headlights and a sporty downward spear along the sides. The Cougar grew a bit larger, making it more aggressive and ready to rumble. Under the hood, you had options, starting with the 351 cubic inch V8, delivering a solid 250 horsepower. But if you really wanted to turn things up, the Cougar's optimal 4-barrel carburetor and dual exhaust bumped that to a satisfying 290 horsepower. When you hit the gas, that V8 sang a deep, throaty growl that echoed down the street. The Eliminator model was a real treat, packing a 428 Cobra Jet V8 with an optional Super Cobra Jet Ram air intake, pushing power up to a staggering 400 horses. The sound of that engine? Pure thunder. It wasn't just about speed, it was about making a statement every time you fired it up. Number 6. The 69 AMC Rebel Machine. Next up is the 69 AMC Rebel Machine, a car that might not have mainstream fame, but definitely deserves some love. This midsize muscle car came out swinging with its unique, eye-catching red, white, and blue trim, making it stand out from the crowd. While it shared its underpinnings with the Rambler line, the Rebel was designed to be a performance machine. The Rebel Machine brought the fun and flair back into the game. The Rebel offered impressive power with its V8 engine, which was a 390 cubic inch beast that churned out around 340 horsepower. When you cranked it up, the sound was nothing short of exhilarating. It had a bold, muscular roar that could turn heads at any stoplight. Plus, it was practical, boasting a roomy interior and plenty of cargo space for those weekend getaways. Despite being marketed as a family car, it proved it had plenty of muscle under the hood. Number 5. The 69 Dodge Polara RT 440. The 69 Dodge Polara RT is one impressive ride. Launched in the early 60s, the Polara was Dodge's top full-size car, known for its bold design and powerful engines. In '69, it sported a sleek, streamlined look called fuselage design, giving it a modern and aggressive stance on the road. It even came with front seat head restraints, meaning new safety standards that made cruising a bit safer. The Polara 500 made its return that year, sitting right between the base model and the luxurious Monaco. Buyers had the option of a convertible or hardtop coupe, and under the hood, there was no shortage of power. While the base model came with a 225 cubic inch slant 6, the real stars were the optional V8 engines, the 318, 383, and the beastly 440 cubic inch V8. The Polara RT was built for performance, and the sound of that 440 was nothing short of thunderous. When you fired it up, it roared to life, filling the air with a deep rumble that announced your presence. Now, let's talk numbers. The Polara made waves on the Chrysler test track, holding the record for the fastest top speed for a factory four-door sedan at an incredible 149 miles per hour until 1994. That's the kind of power you can feel in your chest. Number 4. The 69 Chrysler Newport Custom V8. Now, if the Polara was about power, the 69 Chrysler Newport Custom V8 was all about a smooth ride wrapped in luxury. The Newport had a long history, but in '69, it got a complete makeover with the same eye-catching fuselage styling that defined Chrysler's full-size cars. This redesign made it longer, lower, and wider than its predecessors, while keeping the spacious 124-inch wheelbase. Chrysler offered the Newport in various styles, including a hardtop coupe, sedan, and even a convertible. It was designed to be a comfortable ride without breaking the bank, appealing to families looking for style and space. Under the hood, the Newport packed a powerful V8, making it a contender for both leisurely drives and highway cruising. The sound of that Newport's V8 was like a gentle symphony, a far cry from the growls of the Polara. It had a deep, rich tone that promised comfort on long drives, providing that classic muscle car feel without the raw aggression. When you hit the road, you could enjoy that smooth, powerful sound while still feeling the luxury inside. Number 3. The '69 Pontiac Tempest V8. This beauty was a part of Pontiac's lineup from 1960 to 1970, bringing a unique flavor to the streets. The Tempest stood out not just for its look, but for its innovative design. Built on GM's Y platform, it featured a front engine, rear transaxle layout, which gave it a near-perfect weight balance. Imagine cruising around in a car that handles like a dream. Thanks to its independent rear suspension, it felt light and agile on the road. Under the hood, the Tempest had some options that made it fun to drive. The Trophy 4 engine was a clever twist on the Pontiac standard V8, created by splitting a V8 block in half. Talk about innovation. And for those who craved more power, the '69 model brought in a new 3-speed turbo hydromatic transmission in the 350 HO V8, now pushing out 325 horsepower. But the real thrill came from the sound. When you started that V8, it unleashed a deep, throaty roar that echoed down the streets, letting everyone know you meant business. The '69 Pontiac Tempest also had a special treat for muscle car fans with the introduction of the Judge. This version was all about raw power and performance, boasting special decals and an aggressive rear spoiler. While it was meant to compete with the Plymouth's Roadrunner, it found its place as a GTO variant, adding to the Tempest's muscle car legacy. Number 2. The '69 Chevy Bel Air V8. Now, let's shift gears to the '69 Chevy Bel Air, a classic that has been part of the Chevy family since the '50s. For 1969, the Bel Air received a fresh redesign, sporting a longer body and sleeker lines, while maintaining the familiar 119-inch wheelbase. It was a car that commanded attention, and it had the power to match. Engine options for the Bel Air included a standard 250 cubic inch 6-cylinder and a range of V8s that made your heart race. You could choose from 327s, 350s, and even some mighty 427s, cranking out up to 425 horsepower. With that kind of power, you can bet it had a sound that turned heads. The rumble from the V8 engines was a sweet symphony of American muscle, blending power and style in a way that only Chevy could deliver. By '69, this was the last year for the Bel Air two-door sedan, but it left a lasting impression. As the model evolved, it continued to capture the hearts of car enthusiasts with its powerful engines and iconic design. And number 1, the '69 Yenko Chevrolet Camaro SYC. Now, this was a car made for speed and attitude, thanks to Don Yenko, a race car driver turned Chevy dealer who specialized in making Chevy cars faster than they had any right to be. The Yenko Camaro came with a massive 427 cubic inch V8, packing 425 horsepower and a mind-bending 460 pound-per-foot of torque. To put it simply, this car could fly. The engine in the Yenko Camaro had a deep, thunderous rumble that you felt in your bones. On the drag strip, this car hit 108.2 miles per hour and could do the quarter mile in 12.59 seconds. A stunning time for a street car. The rumble of that big block V8 was something special, and with every downshift, the sound intensified, letting everyone around know this Camaro meant business. Only about 201 of these beasts were ever made, so if you ever hear one, consider yourself lucky. It's a rare kind of thunder. Now, which car do you think truly stole the show? Was it the deep rumble of the Dodge Charger, or maybe the fierce growl of the Ford Mustang? Comment down below your favorite pick and let us know which sound you think defines the spirit of 1969 muscle cars. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time.